I switched my message up. I was going to preach on one thing, and then we had the president address a business roundtable on Monday afternoon, March 22nd. And being that we're watchmen and we're watching, I want to ask you if you are all watching, if you heard this, most of you have, but just in case you didn't, he said, we're at an inflection point. Now, inflection means a turning point, drastic change. So we're at a drastic change, turning point, inflection point. He said, I believe in the world economy, not just the world economy, the world. That occurs every 3 or 4 generations. Now I'm going to skip down to what he said. He said, now is a time when things are shifting. And remember that word shifting, because we're talking about things are shifting. And there's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it. So people that have been teaching about this for years have been basically told conspiracy theorists, and now they're coming out with it again. We're not going by theories, we're going by facts. And I like to go by facts of what they say. And David Rockefeller, a quote from him, he said, we're on the verge, this was a while back, but he said, we're on the verge of a global transformation. So this is not new. This has been in the plan for a long time, actually in plain sight. He said, we're on the verge of a global transformation. Now, this isn't just the United States or other countries, it's global. This is a global transformation. All we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the New World Order. Think of that. Have we had a major world crisis in the last couple years? And are we moving into another global crisis? He said, all we need is the right major crisis, and the nations will accept the New World Order. So here, President Biden's talking about the New World Order, and we know Bush has talked about it. We know that Kissinger's talked about it. We've quoted them in other messages. We're not going to go into all that, but those are facts. And one of the things he said is, it's the time of shifting. Now, what does that mean? He said there's a time of shifting, the New World Order, get on board, we're going to lead it and unite the world. Those are the 3 main points that we want to talk about. The time of shifting. The old system has to be brought down. It's the old, and the new has to be put in place. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about things that are shifting. We're going to talk about you as watchmen. Are you watching, and are you sober? Are you aware? And we're going to talk about the wise and the foolish virgins too. So just hang on for a little bit. I want to not go real fast. So he's talking about here in the New World Order, there's a great reset. And the great reset, we know, is digital. It's going to be digital currency. They've got to have a one world currency. And they're moving us slowly into the cashless society, which we know, which they can track and control and know everything that's going on. And we've been talking about this. And one of the messages, I go into it if you're new and you haven't heard a lot of them, listen to As the World Turns. It talks about the Green New Deal. It talks about a lot of different things put into one there. So we don't want to go over that. But in Genesis 11, we see that they tried to do this one world back in the book of Genesis, chapter 11, in verse 1. And at this point in time, God did not allow it to happen. God came in and he stopped it. But we know in the book of Revelations that they do succeed. And it's been happening. It's been in the plan. And now it's in plain sight even with this president. But the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. They said, go let us build us a city. I was going to say, Jesus wasn't in there. No. They said, go to us, let us build us a city and a tower. Notice that word tower. How many towers have we been hearing about in the last few years? The 5G towers, all these towers are being, isn't that interesting? So they said, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, not knowing now, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained or limited for them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down there, confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. And notice this sentence right here, part of sentence. And they left off to build the city. Even though he scattered them around, they never really stopped. I never saw that till today. And they left off to build the city. Even though they were scattered, they didn't stop. And they haven't stopped. They want a one world language. They want it back, the Tower of Babel. Therefore, it is the name called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. So now, what do they want to bring back? A one world again. So we see God didn't want them to have a one world, because he said then when they come together, they're going to, anything they imagine to do, they're going to be able to do it, because they have everybody thinking on the same page, doing the same thing, and he knew they were bent on evil, right? It reminds me of a song that was written by John Lennon over 50 years ago. Imagine there's no heaven. Now think about all the progressiveness that's gone on. There's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell. No heaven, no hell. Below us, above us only the sky. Now I'm not going to say the whole song, but imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Again, beware when they say peace and safety. Here it says they're going to live in peace. Then he says, I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Then he goes on. Imagine no possessions. The World Economic Forum prediction that we will own nothing and be happy by 2030. What does that mean? No possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. You all know what the brotherhoods are, right? Imagine all the people sharing all the world. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Interesting that this song was written over 50 years ago and none of us knew. We'd just imagine there. We'd all just sing along. There's been a plan in plain sight for many, many, many years, way beyond even before we were born. But in the Great Reset, the fourth industrial revolution, technologies in the workforce, they're talking about there's coming this fourth industrial revolution where technology now is going to replace a lot of the workforce, a lot of white-collar and blue-collar jobs. They call it the global labor force. Creating new markets. They said now they're going to have to create things that are going to be new in this new world. Digital currencies, artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, the Internet of Things, and the Internet of Bodies. A lot of people don't understand where this is going. We're in the shift where that means to transgender, transhumanism. These things are being conditioned now in our mind. The first step is always to get people's minds to accept change, right? And one of the things the devil loves to do is use fear. He loves to come and steal, kill, and destroy, and he loves to use fear. To get people to do what the agendas are, right? Now, if God is the light of the world, Jesus is the light of the world, Satan is the false light. So there's a false light. He wants to be like the Most High. He said, I will be like the Most High God. So he wants to control. Basically, this is about control. Controlling people, not giving them a free choice. As we move further and further into this new world, we'll see exactly what happens. But so far, they're dropping us some great hints. Now, in 1 Thessalonians 5, in verse 1, it says, But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write to you. For ourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. Now, when thieves come, you don't know they're coming. Because if you knew they were coming, you'd turn a spotlight on, you'd catch them. But sometimes they come. We even had one steal stuff out of our neighbor's car over here. She didn't lock it. You got to lock stuff up today. But even then, they can break in. But you aren't planning for a thief to come. So he says, the day of the Lord's going to come. You're not going to know. People that tell you the day and the hour and the year, sorry, they're drinking something, but it's not the right spirit. But they aren't. Nobody knows. He said he's going to come as a thief in the night. For when shall they say peace and safety? When they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. God will deal with this in his timing. Unfortunately, it's not our timing. They're his enemies. They're not our enemies. They're his. This is a spiritual battle. This is a spiritual war. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? Principalities and powers. But you, brethren, you're not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. You are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of the darkness. Now here's the point I wanted to make. Therefore let us not sleep as others do, and let us watch and be sober. So when these news things come out, you need to be watching. And you need to be watching, seeing what they're saying, seeing what the plans are. Why? Is because God wants a people that is prepared. And if you're prepared because you've been watching and you're sober, you're not going to be deceived by all the propaganda and all the things that they're throwing your way to try to get you to be walking in fear and to also enter into the great deception that Matthew 24 talks about, let no man deceive you. So to sleep, it means to be relaxed, comfortable, careless. How many people do you know that are just careless? They don't want to hear truth. They don't want to hear warnings. They don't want to know anything they don't need to know, but it's going to be at their front doorstep. I like to be prepared, and I like to watch to see what's going on. And if I need to repent or change, if I've taught anything wrong, which I've done in the past, I want to get it right because we don't know when the Lord's coming. So we want to be ready. We want to make sure that our hearts are right, we've forgiven, we've repented, we've done everything we know to do, that we're in a state that if we should never wake up or something were to happen, we know where we're going and we know that our heart's right with the Lord, right? Amen. So we don't want to be careless. And here it says when they're sleeping, they're not alert. They're not watching. They're unconcerned. They don't care. How's this going to affect me? And they're spiritually lazy. This is all a sign of someone that's spiritually sleeping. So we're to watch and be sober. Now that word sober in the Greek means to be calm and level-headed in the times of stress. To be serious and to keep watch. And sometimes it gets heavy watching. Sometimes it gets a little discouraging. Sometimes to give warnings out isn't the greatest job in the world and you don't feel appreciated and no one likes to hear a warning. But those that have ears to hear and have heard it, they're glad they did because they won't be deceived. They won't be sucked into all the propaganda that's going on, and they've learned what's in man not to trust him, right? Amen. The Bible tells us Jesus knew what was in man. Now, we have to don't allow anything that dulls your senses and messes with your brain. When people get drunk, they don't remember things. They don't know where they are. I've never been a big drinker, or a drinker really, but in high school, I had 2 Colt 45s. I don't even know if they make those now. But my mom and dad caught me, and boy, I was in the toilet throwing up. And I don't know how I got home. I don't remember anything. And boy, did I get in trouble. And my dad says, get good and drunk and have a terrible experience so you never do that again. Well, trust me, that kind of did it for me. I was like, that is not something I even want to experience again. I said, Mom, all I had was 2. She said, all it takes is 1. I'll never forget that. All it takes is 1. But you don't remember things. And alcohol slows down the brain. And if someone is stumbling around in slurred speech and they can't walk a straight line, they're influenced by some kind of a substance. And this is the thing. People want to be medicated today. They don't want to face reality. They just want to dull their senses. They're having a hard time, so they just take things, all sorts of different things to what? Not have to deal with maybe their hurt, maybe their pain, maybe betrayal, maybe where you missed it, all these different things. But the best thing to do is face reality head on, right? Because people are medicating today like never before because they don't have a feeling of security. They don't know what's going to happen. But as believers, we're supposed to be watchful and what? Be sober. My dad, who was a World War II Normandy survivor, was very seldom sober. I can't remember. The only time I remember him being sober was on Sundays when we had to go see his parents in Pine River, and my mom usually was giving him the silent treatment for the week that he had drinking. But he came back messed up, and I'm so concerned about the young people now today, how messed up their minds are by all this shifting that's happening. Your reality isn't, you don't know what kind of person you are, you know what I'm saying, gender. There's so much confusion going on, and it's all by design to take you from this shift to going into eventually, which will be maybe 2050 down the road or maybe sooner, but this transhumanism. And go study that out. That's something people go, that's too Twilight Zone or whatever. Well, I used to think so too, but in 1 year, they've made a lot of progress, and they're also dropping a lot of hints of what's coming. But he wasn't sober very much, and when he drank, it altered his personality. He was the nicest guy, but when he drank, he got mean, and he didn't remember what he did. And so we have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. None of us are drinkers because of what happened to him and how he brought that alcohol into our home and medicated because he was so tormented, really, by what happened in Normandy. And he had PTSD, and nobody helped him. So I feel bad. He did get saved. You know, I made sure we led him to the Lord there at the end. But what a miserable life of just drinking and trying to get rid of that horrible memories and all the things that people have gone through. But it doesn't change things. When you medicate yourself, you don't change your reality. You still have to get up, and now you've made such a mess. You don't remember what you did. You waste all your money. I mean, I lived this life through my dad, so it's just sad. To me, to be sober is very important. To be sober, watch what's going on. Listen to what's going on. Because in Matthew 25, it tells us, let's look at Matthew 25, 1 through 13. And it's important to read Matthew 24. They're connected. And he's talking about being ready. In verse 24, 36, that the day and the hour knoweth no man, so don't let anybody tell you they know. They have these people that say, oh, the rapture's going to happen right. They have no idea. And they've just gotten so many people messed up. I mean, just live every day with oil in your lamp, and don't go off on extreme doctrines. There's a mystery to all this, and none of us have all the answers, and it's not the hill to die on. But here it says, verse 37, but as the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. What are they doing? They're acting like nothing's ever going to change. They're eating and drinking, and they're doing all these different things, and they're not paying any attention. As Noah entered into the ark, he warned them and he told them what was going to happen, and they thought he was just kind of a loony. He says the same thing's going to happen. Verse 39, the coming of the Son of Man's going to be. It's going to happen like a thief in the night. It's going to happen when the cup of iniquity is full. God's going to return, right? So he said, what are we supposed to do in 42? Watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. Verse 44, be ready. 45, he's talking about faithful and wise servants. Now it's going into chapter 25, but he's still talking about these servants. There's wise servants and there's foolish servants. They're evil. He said, they're verse 48, evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delays his coming. Verse 49, so they started to be cruel and abuse their fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunken. Again, he says, for the Lord shall come in a day when he looketh not, but people aren't looking for him. And so he said there's going to be hypocrites. There's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, so now 25, that's the setting we're going into. He said, so he's talking about 24 going into 25, shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. And they were foolish, took their lamps with no oil with them. Now when you take a lamp and you don't have any oil, you can't see. There's no light. So here's representing a bunch of people that have no oil. They're not walking with the Lord. They're not born again. They don't have any oil. And because no oil in your lamp means no light. We are to be lights, right? We're supposed to be lights, and we're supposed to be telling people in this day and hour, warning them, letting them know things are happening on the earth. We're coming into some shifting, some changing. Do you know the Lord? But they didn't take any oil. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And this is the thing. People think, oh, Jesus is coming back. We've heard that since I was a little kid. I heard Jesus is coming back. Well, he's delaying his coming. But what are you going to do in his delay? Are you watching? What are you watching? Are you watching? Are you waiting? Are you preparing yourself? And are you being sober? Are you making sure you're not just like the world? The spirit of the world has come on the church. And then he says he came, and at midnight there was a cry, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go you out to meet him. Then all the virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourself. We have right now choices to make. The choices we make today are going to affect our eternity. So you can go get oil now. You can go get your Bibles. You can read your Bibles. You can stay filled, right? Or you can choose not to. You can choose to just fall asleep, be unconcerned, be lazy spiritually. What are you doing? Are you watching? Are you waiting? Are you sober? And then it talks about the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. Listen to what he said. But he answered and said, verily I say unto you, I know you not. I know you not. God doesn't even know them. So they were not Christians, I believe. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Whoa. Again, lamps with no oil don't give any light. Because of his long delay, he finds they were unprepared. And they didn't stay alert. They didn't stay. Even if you're discouraged and you're fainting and you're tired, get up. I just want to say, get up. We all have to get up. We all have to say, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. People are persecuting. People don't want to hear. My kids are backslidden, going in, living with people. That's all I hear from parents now. I raised them, and now they're all living together. Wow, what's happening? Just still be a light. Do what you can do. Don't get discouraged. You got to, and there's discouraging times. But when we're weary and well-doing, we have to look to the Lord who gives us strength. Because we can all get weary. Battle fatigue. You get tired of fighting. But they didn't stay alert. They weren't watching, and they weren't ready. Somebody that's always prepared, I was thinking about it, is firemen. Firemen are trained that when that bell goes off or the radio or whatever, that they have clothes sometimes set aside, they are prepared, they are ready to go put out that fire wherever it might be. And that's how we have to be. We have to be prepared spiritually, mentally. Why is God warning us now? Because we have to prepare mentally for the changes that we're seeing, not only on the earth, but also with our children, with our grandchildren, with the education system, the things that they're coming home and they're being taught. It's just like, if you don't know what's happening, if you're not listening, if you're not watching, it's like that frog that just, gets boiled to death. It's just little by little by little, because they're not aware. People are not aware of what's really going on. But the wise had enough oil to last. And when you're walking with the Lord and you're abiding in Him and He's abiding in you, we're going to have enough oil to last through the night, whatever the night is. That oil will keep you. That relationship that you have with the Lord will keep you stable, regardless of what comes, regardless of what these presidents are doing, regardless of the wars, the rumors of the war. They're saying there's going to be food shortages. All these different things can throw you off. But if you're walking with the Lord and you have oil, He'll show you your next step. And that's where faith really comes in. We trust Him. And this is why so many people are not prepared. They're not prepared. It's just like running out of gasoline. They don't watch the warning signs. They don't look at their dashboard, the flashing lights. They don't ever go to the gas station to fill up. They just think, I can make it. I can make it. I can go to another town. Some people just wait till there's just a hair of gasoline left, and they're not prepared. They're not prepared. And so many people are not prepared because they don't believe the warning signs. And there was a Tournament of Roses parade that had a float that ran out of gas during the parade. And it was the Standard Oil Company float. It was not prepared. They got the float all great and looked beautiful, but it couldn't go anywhere. So they had to wait until they got some gas. They ran out of gas. You could say that is with a lamp with no oil. The lamp looks beautiful, but there's no oil in it. We need oil in our lamps, don't we? The wise prepares for the night, keeps oil in his lamp, and the Bible says he's an overcomer. The oil keeps the fire burning and gives us light. What do we do? How do we prepare? One of the things we've been doing, if you're following us on YouTube, is we've had to do what Revelation 3:5 said, to him that overcometh. To overcome, your name's going to be in the book of life, right? Well, what is an overcomer? One who hates evil. And he tests and tries. We've been testing and trying doctrines and teachers. And I don't like to give names of teachers because there's too many false preachers out there. And I believe that's a game too, that they're just fighting against each other, and they're bringing Christianity down, and they're causing a big mud puddle. So you can't see who's telling the truth or not. So many people are confused. But an overcomer tests and tries false teachers and false apostles. And if you're an overcomer, you're going to patiently wait. You're going to wait for Jesus' return. If He doesn't come when you want to, you got to still wait. You got to stay patient. You got to stay sober. You got to stay watching. Stay filled with oil even when He delays His coming. And when you're under pressure and trial, you keep watching. When you're discouraged, you keep watching. When people leave you, you keep watching. You keep waiting. Why? We're looking for Him. Yes. Though none go with me, still I will follow. I have decided to follow Jesus. In Revelations 2:2, He says, I know your deeds, your labor, and your perseverance. God's watching you. This is in the Berean Study Bible. It says, I know you cannot tolerate those who are evil, and you've tested and exposed as liars those who falsely claim to be apostles. That's part of watching. Testing. Test the Spirit. These false teachers say, don't touch the anointed. Well, they're not anointed. They use that as a scapegoat to preach whatever they want. If you're a true overcomer, you will test the spirits. You will try the doctrines. Because these false prophets and apostles, they leave you unprepared for battle. All they focus on is the material, the now, being happy, whatever it is, but you're not being told you're going to have to endure. You're going to have to go through some things. They're talking about supply chains being busted up and food shortages. People that are listening and watching, we've known this is going to come. We knew this was going to come. We've been watching. We know what their plans are. Those that are, this is all new, you're going to be totally off guard, because if you're listening to the false apostles, they're just telling you to live your best life now. Well, what about the life to come? So you're not prepared. You're not mentally ready. And you're not prepared by the propaganda. I did a whole message on the propaganda, how they use the media. You're not prepared mentally. So people are caving. They're falling in. These false people have seduced God's people by saying peace. Peace. We want one great, one world system of peace, right? In the Hebrew, that means ease, safety, and rest. Happy, healthy, and prosperous. Beware when they say peace. The result, the people trust a lie. They trust what these false prophets are saying, and they're not prepared for battle. They're not prepared for this new order that's coming, that we're in. And I want to close with the 10-point charter of Alice Bailey. People have been asking me to say this again, and the plan of the New World Order. And I'm not going through all of it, but this is if you want to look it up, part of what I wanted to say is, because it's the shift that we've been hearing about, we're in a transition where there's going to be new infrastructure. So guess what? The old has to be torn down.
To watch Roberta's messages, you can see her on YouTube at Roberta Morrison. Roberta Morrison 2, the backup channel. Living in His Presence Church on Rumble. And at the livinginhispresence.org website, where you can see the messages and download them as free audio MP3s. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, go to the main webpage, and on the top right is a Give button. Thank you, and see you next time.